Hi guys, what's up? What's good, everybody? Welcome again to We Learn English with Dheeraj Gabeja. I hope all of you are doing great and fantastic. Okay, I'm glad to see so many of you here again. All right, so it is amazing monsoon season going on. Most of us like monsoon season, most of us like rains and it's nice climate. And when it's nice climate, of course, there's a lot of chit chat happening. So when it's chit chat happening, we would love to use the power of English language. How about that? By the way, guys, once upon a time, yeah. Once upon a time, there lived an old man, okay, who during his young days, when he was young, he did desperate things to be happy, tried anything and everything possible to be happy, activities, sports, passion, hobby, this, that. But then he failed. He could not achieve real happiness. So time passed, weeks passed, months passed, years passed. And then when finally he turned very old, he grew very old, that is 80 years. At the age of 80, he discovered the secret to happiness. And that is when in that village, everybody was fascinated to meet that old man who finally was happy. All those years in his life, he could not be happy in its true sense. He used to be happy, then sad again. He used to be happy, then sad again. This is usually what happens with most people. But towards the end, unfortunately, towards when he was in old age, he discovered the secret of happiness, like being happy uh, permanently. Okay, so stay tuned to know what's going to be that secret. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, it's time for you to subscribe right now. Okay, so if you're really excited to know the suspense of the story, hit a like button right now. Okay, all right. So what is that we're going to learn today? We're going to talk about how's that we can learn English, how's that we can talk about learning English in 30 minutes. This is not about learning English in 30 minutes. This is about how's that we can learn English. Know it in 30 minutes with me. All right. So can we get started? I hope all of you are as excited as I am as always. All right, let's get started. Chalo. So in this world of so much competition, which is prolific, dynamic, highly competitive, who does not know the importance of English? English language ka importance everybody knows now. So be it the field of science, media, career, sports, technology, internet, every field has taken up to English language and it is compulsion today. So be it getting a better job, be it developing your personality, be it sounding confident, sounding smart, getting access, getting a global entry because English is now a global language. So everywhere we have the power of English. Okay, so if you see this here, to be proficient in English language, we must learn all the possible components of the language. Okay, now let's understand what this is here. See, let's understand this with an example. Uh, let's say if your mother tongue is Hindi, वैसे तो we have, of course, many languages as our mother tongue. It could be Gujarati, Punjabi, Bengali, respecting all the languages out there. But then since I'm talking about a national language, Hindi, let's say if Hindi is something that you're used to since your childhood days, let's talk about the psychology of how language works here. Okay, let's say, for example, now pay attention. Let's understand the psychology of how language works. First of all, let's say if I want to talk about I'm feeling happy today. Let's say if I want to express that I feel happy today. Okay. Now, before I can use any language in my mind, I already have the thought of feeling happy, or the feeling, or the emotion. So the mind is already active. Now, what your mind does is it will look for the best possible data of language in the memory, in one of the components of the mind, that is memory system, to speak. For example, If Hindi is kind of very strong in my mind, or if Marathi is strong in my mind, if Gujarati is strong in my mind, or any other language is very strong in my mind, the mind will first use that language which is the strongest one. So what do I mean by that? So if I want to say, if I want to express that I feel happy today, I'm happy today. So if Hindi is strong, naturally my mind would say, आज मैं बहुत खुश हूँ. You know, these are the words your mind will think of. But if you kind of train your mind so that you have English language as the strongest in your mind psychologically, your mind will naturally use English as a language. Now, I'm not trying to belittle the importance of other languages. Of course, other languages are equally important, respecting all of the languages. But then, because we are learning English here, so I'm trying to say using English, like training your mind to use English. So I would say, I am happy today, or I feel happy today. All right. So just let's understand what is happening. जैसे for example मेरे mind में एक thought आया या emotion है या feeling है कि आज मैं बहुत खुश हूँ. ठीक है. अभी ये thought है, feeling है या emotion है. To express that thought, emotion or feeling, my mind will need some language. It needs some medium, right? It needs uh, some platform. So language is something that gives it the medium, the way, or a platform to express itself. That is, express a thought, emotion, feeling, whatever. So, what is that we need to do? We need to learn all the possible components of a language. So look at this word here. To be proficient in English language, we must learn all the possible components of that language. Now, what do I mean by this? What do I mean by components? Let's check this. Okay, so it's another beautiful English day. Let's discuss the fundamental components of English that we need to work on in order to be proficient in English language. All right, are you all excited? If you are excited, go and hit the like button and leave the comments if you're super excited. And yeah, of course, don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, chalo, let's talk about the first component, which is grammar, as we all know. Okay. See, the advantage of learning grammar that it is limited. If you compare the learning of grammar to vocabulary, vocabulary is like too much data. There are so many words. Oxford, Cambridge, they keep adding words. Every day, new words are added in English language. So when I compare grammar with vocabulary, first of all, grammar is limited information and it is the most important component. Why it is the most important? Because it is a system and structure of a language. Without grammar, uh, how is that we have to use a language to know that would be difficult. For example, if we did not learn grammar, if I spoke English my way and you use English your way, so we would not know what is correct and what is not correct. Grammar is basically rules. So those rules give foundation to English language. It gives base to the language. So grammar, you can talk about, it is nothing but the base of the language. All right. So, for example, a very popular book like Wren and Martin. There are, of course, other wonderful books as well. I've just used this as an example because this is quite popular. Almost everybody knows this. So, when we talk about the book like Wren and Martin, it could be 150 pages book, maximum 200 pages. So, grammar is the first component that we must know, that we must be thorough with. So, be it topics like parts of speech, tenses, be it concord, clauses, simple, compound, complex, reported speech, anything and everything under grammar is important. By the way, it is still limited information. Even if you have 25 grammar topics or 30 grammar topics, or if you have 200 pages of a A4 size book or something like that, it is still limited information as compared to vocabulary. So you cannot compromise on grammar, because if you compromise on learning grammar, it is like compromising on the base of building a building. If you want to build a building or a structure, the base has to be super strong, right? So consider grammar like the base of a language, its foundation. You cannot compromise on this. This must be learned in its entirety. So when I say in its entirety, depends on whatever source you follow. If you follow Cambridge books, you follow Oxford books, you follow Wren and Martin, whichever is a popular, reliable grammar book, or of course this channel, all those topics that we will cover on this channel with me. So grammar will be learned completely. Okay, everything, anything and everything about grammar. So of course, using grammar academically is a different approach, but then using grammar to communicate will be a different approach. We will cover both on this channel. So that's the first component, grammar. No compromise on learning grammar. Okay, because it is limited and the most important, it is the base of the language, the foundation. Second important component, of course, is vocabulary. Now, who doesn't use this word in a daily talk? We talk about vocabulary. Vocabulary is nothing, anything, and everything related to words is vocabulary. Okay, so now under vocabulary, because we have so many words, it becomes difficult to know all those words here. We have people, famous people who have excellent vocabulary. But even if you mug up 1,000 words, 5,000 words, 10,000 words, 1 lakh words, it is still going to be limited because vocabulary is too much information, too many words, there's a lot of data. And of course, Oxford, Cambridge, and other universities, they keep adding on to it as the language is upgraded. So the solution to this is learning vocabulary that is using its concepts. So one of the concepts of vocabulary is compound word. And now, for example, it's a compound word is nothing. Uh, these are two words connected into one. For example, the word like afterbirth, backfire, backbone, classroom. Okay. For example, look at the word classroom. The word class is one word. The word room is another word. But then when it's combined into one word. Similarly, for example, your blackboard. These are compound words. And look at collocations. Collocations is nothing but natural pairing of words, like two or more words used together, and that is used as a natural pair. It is used together always. If it is raining a lot, we always say it is raining heavily. We don't say it is raining hugely or largely because collocation is a natural pair of words, a natural combination of words. We always say play music. We don't say turn on music. We say play music. We always say keep calm. We don't say have calmness or something like that. So these are the words which are always used together. Now you must be wondering why I'm talking about this. See, these are just two of the vocabulary concepts that we have: compound words, collocations. Similarly, there are other vocabulary concepts as well. Just say we have synonyms, same meaning words, antonyms, we have acrostic, we have prefix, suffix, then we have jumbled words, we have one word substitution, then we have homophones, homographs, etc. So there are approximately more than 35 to 40 vocabulary concepts that we must know, and that is, of course, that is something we will cover uh, on this channel in the upcoming videos. Okay, this is the second component. So the best way to learn vocabulary is first you learn the must know words. Let's say you create a list of top 100 or 150 to maximum 200 words that you use in your daily conversations. Make a note of that. Second would be you create a list according to what you're doing in life. For example, if I take my example, I am a teacher of English and I'm also a human psychologist. So I would rather try to learn vocabulary related to my roles first rather than trying to learn random vocabulary. Once you are thorough with the vocabulary, you have enough vocabulary regarding what you're doing in life. You could be a student, you could be a lawyer, you could be a doctor. So try to get that relevant vocabulary which is relevant to your role in life, what you're doing in your life, basically. And then you can learn random words, of course. Random words could be, the sources could be a book, a movie, a podcast, a serial, or a channel like this. Okay, so that's about vocabulary. The next component that we're talking about is a phrase. Okay. Even though phrases is kind of a part of vocabulary, but it is not only word, it is a group of words. It is a group of words that stand as one conceptual unit. It typically forms a component on its own. For example, when I use the phrases, the group of words like in a way, of course, it is more than one word. It gives you incomplete meaning, but still it has its own existence. Like it is used in English as one whole component. So in a way, by the way, on the way, on the go. On the go is when you're doing something on the go. On the go, like while working, while walking. Uh, sim just simply For example, let's say if I'm learning English on the go, so I'm learning English maybe through my phone or through internet, or even while just performing my daily chores, my daily activities. Okay, so these are phrases. So we must learn phrases as well. So these are just few examples. We often hear this. In a way, the technology is helping us progress. Technology is wonderful. By the way, there are negative sides of technology as well. Something like that. On the way, your friend would ask you, "Hey, where the hell are you?" Okay, we have not reached yet. So you're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, I'm just on the way. I'm on the way." Something like that. And on the go is, I just told you, you're trying to learn a language on the go, you're trying to communicate on the go, like on like in your daily activities. On the go is being active in your daily activities, doing something simultaneously. That's on the go. Okay, so these are phrases. Next, very important component is a phrasal verb. Now, let's understand this. Okay, ignore this part for now. Ignore whatever is written here. Come to this part here. Come to this last example. What is written here is shout to, and the next word is shout at. By the way, these two have different meanings, altogether different meanings. For example, when I say shout to, when I want to use the phrasal verb shout to, this means that, for example, a person is away from me. Okay, he is a little away from me. Now, for I to be audible to that person, I have to raise my voice. So I have to shout to that person. So shouting to somebody. But then if I'm angry with that person, okay, so I'll say I shouted at the person. So shout at has a different meaning. Shout to has a different meaning. This is the magic of phrasal verbs. Okay, so phrasal verb is nothing but a combination of a verb, the main verb, with another particle. So that another particle could be a preposition, or it can act like an adverb also. Okay, for example, you see to, the words like look down on something, you ask for help. You don't simply ask help. Asking a question is a different thing. Asking for something is a different meaning. Backup, this is something that we commonly use. We are falling short of our daily supply. We need to back up with money, or we need to create a backup of money. So you see, backup, or the backup of files, or the backup of data. Come along. So you need to come along with me, like join me for something. So you see, every phrasal verb has a different meaning. Another common example could be reach out. We use reach, R-E-A-C-H, reach out. This just means you try your level best to help somebody. So during this COVID situation, there are many people who are trying to reach out to the people in difficult situations. They are trying to reach out to poor. They are trying to reach out to beggars. They are trying to reach out to people who are struggling. So reach out. You cannot guess the direct meaning from its words. That is why it is called an idiomatic phrase. See, a phrasal verb is called an idiomatic phrase. Idiomatic, that is, you cannot guess the meaning from its words directly. It has figurative meaning. इसका direct meaning guess करना possible नहीं है. Like for example, when I say ask for, there are some words for where it is possible, but then the words like for example come along, and the best example is for example reach out. So when I use the word reach out, the meaning of the word reach is something else. You're reaching somewhere. Out is opposite of in, but then when it is combined, reach out, वो ना एक अलग ही meaning देता है. So as we have grammar, as we have vocabulary, as we have uh, synonyms, antonyms, other concepts in vocabulary, similarly, this phrasal verb is a separate component. It must be learned very thoroughly, precisely, uh, because it is confusing. Number one. Second, it is really important, and it's a separate component altogether. Like you cannot guess the meaning of phrasal verbs uh, from the spelling, from the words. So every phrasal verb has a different meaning. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, next will be idioms. So this word is not pronounced idioms. The correct pronunciation is idioms. This simply means muhavre. In Hindi, we simply call it muhavras. In English, we call it idioms. This is just used for fancy English. See, idioms are a group of words established by the usage as having a meaning not deducible. That is, you cannot deduce the meaning, you cannot interpret the meaning, you cannot understand the meaning from those individual words. Let's take a look at example. So when it rains a lot, if it's raining heavily, like right now, the raining season is going on. It has not yet rained heavily, maybe, but then whenever it does, we say it's raining heavily. So what is figurative way of saying it? What is idiomatic way of saying it is raining heavily? We say it is raining cats and dogs. All right, it's raining cats and dogs here. So you do not see a cat, you do not see a dog, but then we still say it is raining cats and dogs. Okay, so you cannot guess the meaning from its words. Like raining is okay, you know the meaning. Now you will say sir cat क्यों यूज किया यहाँ पे, डॉग क्यों यूज किया है यहाँ पे, ना ही कैट है ना ही डॉग है, ये तो अलग ही कुछ मीनिंग दे रहा है. Exactly, this is what an idiom is. This is how muhavras are used, right, in Hindi. For example, बंदर क्या जाने अदरक का स्वाद is a very common idiom or a muhavra that we use in Hindi. So when I say बंदर क्या जाने अदरक का स्वाद, there is no bandar, there is no adrak. Okay, we are just trying to maybe be a little sarcastic towards a person whom you're using that muhavra for. Let's say you tell your friend bandar kya jane adrak ka swad. Maybe you're trying to taunt your friend about something, or you're trying to be sarcastic towards your friend, so it has a different meaning altogether. Similarly, raining cats and dogs. Another common example is in a nutshell. In a nutshell just means trying to explain something or trying to write something or speak something in brief, okay, using the fewest words possible. For example, I'm trying to explain this topic to you in a nutshell. In a nutshell, okay, there is a छोटे से shell में, in a nutshell, there is to make it brief, as precise as possible, the fewest words. Then the third one is icing on the cake. This is like Sone pe suhaga. Okay, this is used that way, icing on the cake. For example, let's say it was your birthday party, and let's say your friends or family or anybody arranged a nice party for you, and you're like super happy. That was good, party made you happy. But let's say, on top of that, to make you happier, let's say your dad gifted you an iPhone. ठीक है, ऐसे सपने मत देखो, मिलेगा कि नहीं पता नहीं, but then I'm just telling you, asking you to imagine. Okay, just imagine. All right, yeah. So icing on the cake is like सोने पे सुहागा हो गया, पार्टी तो मिली ही, but then iPhone मिला गिफ्ट में, something like that. So it's icing on the cake. These are called idioms. Other examples, there are many other examples. For example, at the drop of a hat, ballpark figure, and many more. Okay, so this is again a very important component. This helps you use English in, this helps you use English in its advanced manner. You sound fancy, you sound very sophisticated when you're using idioms. And other people feel that you're quite smart. You're quite, uh, you know English well because you're using idioms. It leaves that good impression of your personality, all right? So idioms is important. Next would be proverbs, sayings, or thoughts. Like this is something that we all know. Using a proverb, saying a thought, which is usually the sentences or the sayings which talk about the general truth somewhere, or maybe they give some piece of advice as well. Giving some truth, talking about some general truth in general, and they probably give some piece of advice as well. Like a stitch in time saves nine. Stitch in time in saves nine, we all know the meaning. Like whatever work you have, do not try to delay. Make sure you don't delay. You do your work immediately right now so that you do not be in trouble later. So stitch in time, that is right now, saves nine, that is saves you time later. Second is all that glitters is not gold. सब चीजें जो चमकती है वो तो सोना नहीं होती, ठीक है? Better late than never. This is a beautiful saying in life. It's never late for anything. Yeah, you're not planning your things, you're not trying to achieve your goals at all. That's maybe that could be a problem. But then if you're trying to achieve your goal a little late in life, or you're trying to learn something maybe a little late according to your age or whatever, that kind of doesn't matter. So it is beautifully said, better late than never. Okay, so uh, this is another very important component, using uh, thoughtful proverbs, sayings, or thoughts. All right. Yeah. And this is the next one. So almost towards the end of it, a great difference between the spoken English and the written English part. A very uh, common difference. So of course, see, when you speak, the most important thing is you pronounce everything clearly. So the most important part is pronunciation. Of course, the flow matters, but then what you speak has to be crystal clear, right? So pronunciation matters. Your intonation matters. Intonation is just the rise and fall of your speech, the rise and fall of your pitch. And voice modulation, at times you have to change your voice, modulate your voice a little. For example, I'll read this with intonation. To become a good speaker and reader of English language, one has to master skills on proper pronunciation, intonation, and voice modulation. Okay, you see how I changed my voice? You notice the rise and falling in my tone? Yeah, that's called intonation. I kind of try to use some accent. It's not that I'm trying to promote some accent, but I'm trying to say I modulated my voice a little. Depends on the context where I have to use it. Context bound as in depends on the situation where I want it. For example, if I want to read this, to become a good speaker and reader of English language, one has to master skills. On what? On proper pronunciation. So look at the way I'm saying pronunciation. I'm not saying pronunciation. I'm saying pronunciation, intonation, and the most important, please pay attention to this, that is voice modulation. See, look at the rise and fall. That's called intonation. And of course, what matters is where you pause. Yeah, there are times when we pause while speaking. So that pause is indicated by punctuations. For example, a comma in written English. So for spoken, this is we have pronunciation, intonation, voice modulation. But then when it comes to written English, what matters the most is that we know all the writing rules, we know the format, and the use of proper punctuation that matters the most. Sentence formation and punctuation. For example, whenever you pause in while you're speaking, so the pause is indicated by a comma. Okay, uh, using punctuations. If it's a longer pause, you use a semi. You use for example, the another form of comma. So there's something called Oxford comma. That is something we can talk about during when we learn punctuations. Okay, and when you want to make a list of something, you use a colon. Then probably you use a semicolon. There is hyphen, dash, inverted commas, double inverted commas. So different punctuations have their rules, have their own. Different punctuation has their own uh, use. Okay, so every punctuation has their own use. That is really important. So that's the basic difference when it comes to the spoken English aspect and the written English aspect. The format matters, of course, whether you use formal format, semi-formal, or informal. But what matters more is the writing rules and proper punctuations. Okay, the the work of punctuations is done by intonation and voice modulation in spoken. So in spoken, of course, we have pronunciation. It has to be clear pronunciation. You change your speech, you change your voice, you use the high pitch, the low pitch. Yeah, there's a rise and fall in your tone. That is intonation, voice modulation. The same thing is expressed by the use of punctuations as well in written. It's a different approach, but kind of it has uh, a similar or the same purpose to indicate a pause, to indicate the list of something, to indicate the importance of something. We use punctuations. Of course, we will learn the use of punctuations in detail when we learn that topic. All right. Okay. So the last one would be, this is not a component as such, but this is something that really, really is helpful. It has helped me a lot to become a better speaker. And right now I'm kind of speaking to you, so you can of course kind of rely on my advice here. That is learning common mistakes in English. Not learning, kind of knowing common mistakes in English. See, your mind is smart enough. I'm sure we all are smart enough. So your mind is smart enough. Once your mind clearly knows what is a mistake, you will not be stupid enough to make that mistake when you know it clearly. For example, the word suit is incorrectly pronounced as suit. We discussed this in our top 10 commonly mispronounced words. I have taken this example on purpose just to connect with, we had this topic yesterday. Yeah, top. commonly mispronounced words, top 10 commonly mispronounced words. So one of the commonly mispronounced words is suit. It's not suit, it's actually suite. Kind of a room that we book in a hotel, mostly the connected rooms. So it's suite. Now, once you know this is a mistake, would anybody be stupid enough, or would anybody be foolish to, kind of make that mistake once your mind knows it really well? Another example could be using two past tenses, a double past tense. For example, a sentence like this: I didn't understood. So I didn't understood is wrong English, right? Because did not, that is didn't, is already past tense. So we need understand here. So I didn't understand is the correct English, right? So it's like when you know these mistakes, common mistakes in grammar, common mistakes in use of pronunciation, vocabulary, phrases, idioms. There are mistakes in every aspect of English. So knowing those mistakes, the benefit is it helps you not to make those mistakes. Of course, like your mind gets super alert because your mind knows, hey, this is a mistake. Don't make that. For example, once you clearly know this word suite is not suit or suite, it is sweet. So the next time you come across this word, whenever you want to use it, you want to use it with your for your academic purpose or just communicative purpose, you'll be very alert because your mind clearly knows, oh, I know this word. I used to make this mistake. Now I even rectified that mistake. So similarly here, the next time when you use a double past tense, when you know this is a mistake, your mind will give you an alert. Like, hey, no, this is a mistake. So this works wonderfully well. Okay. So that was all about all the possible components. Okay. That's all for the discussion of the components which are required. Like trying, knowing how is that we can learn English in 30 minutes. A little more than that, but then approximately that much. And stay tuned with me to know what happens in that story. All right, we are done with the topic, of course. We have discussed all the components. I'm sure most of you liked it. All of you liked it, and I'm sure about that. So quickly hit the like button. Mention in your comments how helpful do you find this video, and do not forget to share it with your near and dear ones, with your friends, and just anybody and everybody. This is not only for any particular grade or not only for students. You can share it with anyone and everyone and ask them to subscribe as well. Okay, anyway. So what happens in that story? Okay, so that old man was sad all his life, but then when he actually grew old, he turned 80 years of age. That was like that old. The skin is tattered, and there are wrinkles on your face, and your energy levels are low. He was kind of very happy. ये तो उल्टा हो गया. Like probably when people are old, they kind of, or most of them are not happy. So he was very happy. He was genuinely happy, blissful, and that is when he realized something, that he wasted all those years in his life by trying to chase happiness, by desperately trying to do unwanted things as well, to just to be happy or just to be peaceful. Then he learned a beautiful message that it's not about doing something or chasing happiness. It is about just being happy first by your own nature, being peaceful and happy by your own nature, which is possible, and then you do what is really required. So it is not only about trying to desperately do some activity just to be happy. It is about being happy first and doing the best you can in whatever the situation demands. So in these challenging situations, what situation demands is that we keep ourselves fit, we be as happy as possible, we keep our humanity on, help one another, of course with healthy competition that will always go on, but then helping one another, and the most important, taking care of yourself. Be safe and stay tuned. Until next time, I'm signing off for now. You were watching this amazing video with Dheeraj Gubeja. Thanks and don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye. Take care.